All right, gang. So here we're in chapter 3. Now, in chapter 3, uh, we're going to start dealing with something we hadn't dealt with before, and that's Microsoft Visual Studio. Now, C# is built on the .NET framework, and that's utilized by all the Windows products. And it's a programming framework that allows Windows to be as diverse and as comprehensive and functional as it is. And all those same tools, or most of them, are available to us in this .NET framework. And there are different versions of it over the years. We want to make sure we have the latest and greatest. But then again, when you install Visual Studio, you're prompted to, it's almost like walking into a cafeteria. Well, let us know what you want. Well, if you're not having to pay for it, like I'm providing you Visual Studio for free as one of the educational supplements for the course. Well, give me everything. Well, everything's not always the best because Microsoft Visual Studio is a very, very large IDE or programming suite. And there's so much functionality they've added into it over the years that it could, depending on the size of your hard drive, take up your entire hard drive. So let's go look. We'll say File, and we want to create a new, let's create a new project. Now, up to now, what we've dealt with has been console applications. Console applications, if you think about that MindTap interface, we run code and it pops up in that solid black window to the right, the right-hand frame of the web page. Now it's very dry and it's very sterile in that we can't get creative with it. I mean, the most creative we can get with this is to put some spaces in there. At some point, we switch and we go from a console application to a Windows form application. And we're going to do that here in the near future. Now, we would, for a console app, we'll give it a name. So if I pick this, here it'll say, by default, you want to call it console app 2, 5, 8, 10, whatever. It'll give you your path and a solution name. And that's the name of the entire folder this thing's packaged in. We're not creating just one little file. When we create C# solutions, it is a very comprehensive solution. And up here it says that I am utilizing .NET Framework 4.5.2. We can come down. I can use 4.6.1. All depends on what we want to have for whatever we're doing. Okay. And the newer the frameworks, there may be more or less associated with it. Now, these are all things that we can do in Visual C#. We can create web components, web pages. The C# programming is on the back end, server side. We can deal with Azure, mobile apps in C#. We can do gaming in C#. There's just so much depending on the framework that we're building off of. Okay? So, install Visual Studio. I can point you to a link walking you through the install of it. Don't pick more than you need. You can always go add more functionalities after the fact. Okay, we'll keep it clean and small to start with. And once you get your install, then we'll start using this as our environment. The first couple of chapters, we just stick with our MindTap because it's easy and it works everywhere. Now, this is something you'll need to install on your machine. Now, does this work on a Mac or an Apple device? No. C# is PC based. It is a programming language that does carry over in some ways to Apple and Mac, but as a development environment, we need to have a Windows system to be able to do what we're doing with this. Okay? You don't necessarily have to have a Windows system to be using MindTap. It just doesn't have all the functionality that it would have with PC, because when it comes to developers, they develop for a specific operating system. What we're dealing with right now is development for PC systems. Okay?